we touched on there briefly, but another one he said is skills creatives need for 2022. And it was personal skills, generosity, consistency, originality, patience, and replying to messages, which I found interesting. And then you said technical ones were video editing, coding, understanding the blockchain, and better design skills than this.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the personal ones first? So generosity, what do you mean by this?
I think just like showing up. If this could be just putting stuff out is a form of generosity, and maybe not expecting anything back. Not say, if you don't support my work, fuck you type thing. It's like, no, like just the generosity of like, hey, I made something, I'm giving, and this is how I made it. That's a form of generosity to me. Or it could be maybe you see someone doing something cool and you've got something that can help them, or like you can share resources with them. You can let them borrow a piece of equipment that you're not using. Maybe this is not when you're 10 years deep. This is maybe you're a year or two ahead of someone else and can kind of carry on lifting people up. That's important, and people did that for me, and I've just tried to continue that for the next generation.
Yeah, and I think the consistency and patience tying together, my opinion is, I say to everyone, if you do something consistently enough for long enough, and that means like 8 to 10 years, and then that comes with the patience, I'd be very surprised if something good does not happen. And that comes from intentional practice, sharing the work online, which then builds the audience. And another thing you've tied in there, originality. I can't really see many things in life where if you did it for 8 years, for example, consistently, which means like 2 to 3 times a week with intention, really thinking about it, I think good things are going to happen with whatever you're doing, whether it be coding or making music or becoming an expert in social media marketing or writing your own blog post 3 times a week online. I think good things will happen.
Yeah, and it might not be this kind of success that you started out looking for. It might just be in a different form. It might be like even just maintaining that discipline, like in one element of your life might be favorable to other elements of your life. You know what I'm saying? So if you're able to do that in terms of writing, you might be able to do that in terms of fitness. You might be able to do that in terms of maintaining relationships, and then the positive things that come out from those 3 circles combined actually, takes you to a different place than what you expected. You know what I'm saying? So not everyone is going to have some sort of pop star result. Like not everyone is going to end up being some headline DJ, and that's not really the point. It's more like just, good habits, creativity, generosity, whatever it's going to be. And the patience bit is, I guess, like maybe not even necessarily the expectation of a result in an amount of times, but it's understanding that, like, say like if you put out, I don't know, a song in year 1, then someone discovers it 2 years later, and then that builds a relationship. That's something that you could have never foreseen, even when you're promoting and getting the weight behind the song. It doesn't always happen in that 2 or 3, 4, 5 week period that you're promoting that idea. It might come up in a really different period of time. This has happened so many times to me in my life, where an opportunity's come based on some work that I did like way beyond, like it could be like 2, 3 years old, especially now because of the pandemic. Like still get opportunities based on work that was done like 2018 and it's 2022.
Yeah, not only recognition, I think things like YouTube, for example, they're literally a digital asset. So what may seem insignificant now, in 10 years' time, that video which you made 10 years ago will literally be making you money if YouTube, for example, was something you wanted to monetize. And there's also this famous essay called 1,000 True Fans. And it's basically about that all you need is 1,000 true fans to make a living. If you can find 1,000 people who are willing to give you £10 a month for your services, that's £10,000 a month. Like 1,000 people is not that many people. And trying to create £10 worth of value for a musician, that could be giving them 3 tracks a month. I would probably pay some of my favorite producers £10 a month for 3 sick tunes if I knew I was going to get it every single month. This could be like writing a blog post. It could be if you wrote a blog every single day providing killer tips to market your artist profile, people probably would pay £10 a month. And it's quite eye-opening because you realize as a creative, you could be 500 people that pay you £10 a month. That's £5,000 a month, which is by no means a small income. So something people should think about more, I think, instead of thinking, okay, I need to be a worldwide well-known star on the front cover of Spotify, you don't actually have to go that big to be able to make a very nice income from whatever it is you're doing.
I've got like a square on this I haven't put out yet. Actually, is you can dial that up and you can dial it down. So you can dial, if you dialed it down to 100 true fans, like what that would look like. Okay, cool. Like if you've got £1,000 coming in a month from your art, that puts you in the top 1% already. Like the top 1% in human history. And it might not make you a living, but you're already you're already a million rungs above everyone else. Then if you dialed it down to 100 true fans, maybe they're paying more than £10 a month for whatever you do.
Yep.
Or you mentioned like the kind of newsletter thing. Some people are doing Substack and being like £10 a month. Which in the grand scheme of things, here in London, £10 is like a beer and a half. It's not a lot. And if you can convince someone that you're worth, 1.5 pints, then you're doing something well. You know what I mean? And it might not have to be 1,000 people to get you to that point. And when with this project that I'm working on now, this squares and all this stuff is like, could I put like not a paywall? I wouldn't want to do a paywall, but if I gave that option now, when 100 posts in, I've been doing it for free for all this time, how many people would give £10 a month? We'll see. Yeah,
I think it's worth exploring, man, because like you say, you could start with 50 people and then you're like, okay, how could I give these 50 people even more value? They could drop in with a live seminar with me once a month talking about the things I've spoke about. And I know there's something called, it's almost like a Patreon thing that a lot of podcasters are doing, where all the podcast listeners can join and it's paid. And then these people are banging out like 3 podcasts a week, but it means the listeners have then got a place to talk about the episode. Like you talk to your friend about Love Island on at the moment, for example, people are sharing memes, sharing that. And when it comes to podcasts, I think a lot of the time people are listening on their own, but want to talk about the ideas. And I've seen this transition now where people who do podcasts are now making these paid communities. And I've got no doubt that if they're pulling in, some of them are doing millions of listens a month. Even if, like we say, 1,000 people join that and it's £5 a month, that's an extra £5,000, which will then help the podcast grow more because community speak more. They might tell a friend. This whole thing is just a constant circle.
Exactly. And what's the last bit? So the coding one, right?
Yeah, the coding one. You said video editing, coding, understanding the blockchain, and better design skills than this.
Okay, so let's start with video. So we're here recording on video. Video is everywhere. Every platform is video native now. So not understanding how to edit or how to at least do some basic cuts is it's doing yourself a disservice, and it'll be expensive if you just keep paying people to and outsourcing that. If you got the money, fine. But like my YouTube, I just started, just did it in the iMovie, the most straightforward setup, like literally webcam, a little light, microphone. That's it. It will get better over time. So that's important. Just learn off YouTube as well. Just learn off the free tutorials. Coding is just something that it's just going to be important in all kinds of job roles in the future. So I'd expect most people that are listening to this and follow my work are in some form of employment, not all necessarily freelancers or full-time artists. And if you understand coding, it's going to push up your income or salary or your job optionality tenfold. Not your salary tenfold, but your options a lot higher than people that don't understand. And when you're building your own projects, if you can also say you're coding the website or the shop or the kind of ways people interact with your music, then it's gonna give you another little advantage. And no one can pull wool over you. When I think, especially with video and coding and the blockchain, this stuff, I'm not saying you have to be some massive expert, but having some basic understanding so you can know what you want, know what's worth paying for, know, I guess, what you don't want or what you think is unnecessary, then again, it's going to put you at a huge advantage.
Yeah, because I actually have built an app, which is about 2 months away from completion. But a lot of the research I did, I had no idea about code and still don't now. But a big thing that a lot of people said was, if you can understand code, you know what's possible then as well, and it can make it easier to articulate your ideas, and let alone the fact that it's going to save a lot of money. It's hard to explain to a designer, then the designer would then design the piece. Then I'd have a business analyst and a project manager who would then speak to the coder. And there's a lot of people that go around in circles, where if I could have actually communicated in code and better language, it would have saved me a lot of time and money. So I think going forward, there's no doubt about it that code as well, it's a great side hustle. And I think there's a site called Brilliant, and they've got like amazing courses on code and things like that. But if I didn't know what to do right now, and I had uncertainty about my future, that would be the first thing I would learn.
There you go.
So blockchain, do you want to dive into that, or should we just keep that one a bit more tame?
No, I mean, like, just not having the fear of any information. So, like, regardless of what you think about blockchain, Web3, crypto, whatever it's going to be, it's just, you know, you might have an opinion or a formed sense of what you think something is, but then not being afraid to occasionally go, you know what, I'm going to listen to this podcast about this space. And it might be once a quarter, or just enough to kind of keep your eyes and ears open to interesting things happening. There's a lot of creative people in it, involved, forming things, building things, and it's worth keeping an eye on, even if you have no kind of desire to kind of be in the space yourself. So yeah, that's kind of my feelings on it. And like, I'm a strong kind of believer in kind of just new things in general, new ways of doing things, new ways of organizing crews, people all around the world. And if blockchain technology is going to help that, then let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm same as you. Like, Tim Ferriss has done a few good ones on it. I dipped my toes in it, but never truly kind of. I've invested in crypto, and I'm all up for what will come. Obviously, now is a bit of a purple patch, but yeah, I think I'm the same as you in terms of it's going to make things better. And from what I believe, for creatives, it can only make things better. We'll see what the future holds.
Exactly. It might not be in the way we think, right? So we see this all the time, like where I was listening to actually a Tim Ferriss podcast and with this guy called Balaji, and he said that when
is it the latest one?
Yeah, and he was saying about the when people were talking about mobile internet back in the day, they were like, "Oh, what are you going to do with it? Just use coupons." And it's like, look at what we do with phones now. So people can't imagine the use cases for things when the technology is emerging. The same with, you know, laptops. People are like, "Oh, you could use it to read a cookbook in your kitchen so you can make food with." It's like there was all of these things that you know, the even the camera within the phone, people had no idea crazy. What that would do to society. Like none. So again, blockchain, you know, the use cases of it at the moment, if all you're seeing is dog coins and profile pictures and weird art, remember, like, this is like an early stage experimentation, and it might come up in your life in a completely different way to what we would expect.